All right, what's up? Welcome to our first podcast, Phoenix Fit. My name's Altaf,
I'm Saif.
and yeah, we're just gonna be talking about.
A couple relevant topics to us that we feel are important to be discussed. Another couple things about the business itself and like what we are. Why we chose to start up Phoenix Fit in the first place and
Hmm.
what it means to us.
Yeah. All right.
Let's get right into it.
Yeah. So Phoenix Fire Fit. It kind of just started off like a project for us where it allows us to like pursue our own passions, but it gives us like a platform to do what we love
Hmm.
while making more of it.
Yeah. Here's a question for you, Altaf. What makes us at Phoenix any different from any other fitness brand out there right now?
Um, I think as a whole, we look at Phoenix more collectively, right? Or fitness. We try to like
Hmm.
get as many parts of like the entire fitness community under one blanket community.
Hmm. So would you say we separate ourselves from something like Gymshark, which focuses purely on aesthetics rather than like strength gains or anything else like that? Nor are we like completely pure athletics like Rogue Fitness or anything else. So like
Yeah.
currently, as of now, we don't have much merchandise or anything like
Yeah.
that because we are a startup. But like, what would you say is the biggest difference between us and like something like Gymshark?
Gymshark being an apparel like clothing, production line to begin with, like we as the people who are like in charge, we already have by default such varying kind of takes and stands in fitness. Fitness to me means like completely different than what it means to you. That
Definitely,
allows
yeah.
that allows for like for Phoenix to kind of hold like a wide range of like priorities. It's not like we really tunnel vision into one thing and stick with it and do it to its
Hmm.
peak.
Yeah, so we kind of hold like a little bit of an overcast umbrella of any kind of like sport in the future,
Yeah,
specifically starting off with fitness and our different
yeah,
takes on it. For you, you would say you lean more towards the aesthetic side of like lifting.
yeah, definitely.
What does fitness mean to you, especially?
Uh, Fitness for me, I think it's more of a prerequisite lifestyle kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there was ever a point in my life where I was suddenly went, oh wow, starting now I wanna do this. There was like an inciting incident, you know. I think uh, I think there's a lot of benefits to having a healthy, fit lifestyle. The
Mm-hmm.
discipline, the structure. There's a lot
Mm-hmm.
like good that comes from like just the basics of having it in. Of course,
Mm-hmm.
like if you get to a top, 1% of anything, you can compete and make it more. But yeah, I feel like it's a prerequisite to existing a little bit.
Of course, yeah, that makes sense because yeah, so you don't honestly have a specific reason why you appreciate fitness or like care about it. It's more so
Yeah,
like it exists as like a part of the perfect person you want to be,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. At what point did you start seeing yourself as like the person that like needs all of these different things in their life to like align to like be this person, and like how much of a stake does fitness even hold in that? You feel?
Um, at what point? I think it just goes as simple like when you're getting told to. It's like you get told to get good grades in school, but you have so many different courses, but it's like I don't inherently hold one course or subject more value to the other. If I'm here to get good grades, I'm here to get good grades. I'm gonna get good grades on all of them. Fitness to
Yeah.
me, outside of a school, frame, in real life,
Hmm.
it's just like I said, it's kind of like a prerequisite. I see myself as my body, my physique, it being like one aspect of me. I can't then
Hmm.
have an aspect of me not trained, not perfected, not in
Hmm.
form. It just is a prerequisite. The same, I see it the same way, or almost like a not like myself go numb or like rust. I don't want to like.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense for sure. But here's a question, right? Because as you're a child, you don't really like take into consideration your goals as much as you do when you're an adult,
Yeah.
right? So what honestly like point in your life did you consider that is it's important to like master all these different parts of your life to be the like kind of person that you want to be? And like, at what point did you make it like your personal like venture to go do these things rather than like, go numb and like play video games or like, just hang out? Not that there's anything
Yeah.
wrong with playing video games in a sense. It's just like, at what point did you decide I want to use my time for this, and then like kind of go cut down on everything else because it doesn't represent who I am fully?
I think it all definitely starts with like personal interest in certain things, right? For starters, soccer, sports in general just look cool. To
Mm-hmm.
to me anyway, as a kid, I just thought it was cool. Did it, tried it out, cross country, soccer, a bunch of other things in between. I did
Mm-hmm.
what I thought was fun, and then I just realized at a certain point that conditioning the ability to use my body, it just transitioned from like a wow, this is like what cool people do, to it just should be what I do. I don't even play
Yeah.
sports anymore. I'm not a soccer. I used to play sports, soccer, all that. I don't even play soccer anymore, and yet I still inherently feel like um, I should have this, the X physique that I need to like
Mm-hmm.
meet or stay at.
That's kind of interesting as well because as I like know you, I know
Yeah,
for a fact that you never really watched soccer, nor did you take an interest in like
yeah,
caring about like
yeah.
professional level sports like that. It was more
Mhm.
just like what you could have done,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, definitely.
So like, well, what makes you? I mean, do you feel like there's a lot of people like you out there? Like,
I
you
don't know,
feel
man.
like there's a lot of
Look at you for contrast, right? For you, fitness is a very personal thing, right?
people. Mhm, definitely,
You wanna,
yeah.
beat the
It's
numbers.
very anecdotal for me, honestly. Like, it comes from like a point in my life where like, I grew up feeling not the best about myself.
Yeah.
I grew up feeling, a little bit weak. I felt like I was a little bit insecure, so I thought everyone would like look down on me.
Mhm.
And that kind of feeling of everyone's looking down at me all the time kind of like bred this like inert weakness in me. And I couldn't really like battle it in my head forever, right?
Yeah.
So there was a point in time where I was just like, I need to feel physically stronger so I can get a hold of
Yeah.
myself. I need to feel physically stronger so I can feel better about myself. And then since then, it kind of like became a little bit of an obsession for
Mhm.
me of just like trying to get stronger in like whatever way. And it's kind of interesting because I don't have any sports background whatsoever.
Yeah.
Even while I was a kid, I
Yeah.
was a very inactive kid, right? Like,
Mhm.
I would almost put all of my eggs in the basket of I'm gonna train when I get a chance to hit the gym.
Yeah.
I was very like, I will only train, I will only work out if I get to work out the way I want to work out. And the way I want to work out is to get as physically strong as possible.
Yeah.
I want to be that guy in the gym that can like bench 3 plates. I want to be the guy in the gym that'll like squat heavy. At the
Mhm.
time, I didn't even know what squatting was. I just
Yeah.
like I just saw the plates clang around and how like people respected the strong, and I was like, I want to be one of those guys. And it
Yeah.
doesn't matter what it takes to get there. So as soon as I had like the
You and
resources
I,
to get there, I
yeah.
did. I tried.
You and I also like started off at way different points, right? As someone who was on the
Mm-hmm.
heavier side, and I was obviously way, way, way lighter. So
Mm-hmm.
it became like the obvious easy thing for me to go just play sports, whichever one was easy. For you, I guess
Mm-hmm.
it became a thing of like doing what you couldn't before, proving it to yourself, right?
It was a very mental thing playing
Yeah,
sports, like especially running around with the kids like me,
yeah,
or like the kids like that are obviously a lot lighter than me because I grew up very obese actually.
yeah,
And that happens to a lot of people. They face mental health issues as they're growing up, and because of that, they might like gain too much weight or something or another that may contribute to the way they live their life.
yeah,
Playing video games to like escape from the reality that they exist in because they don't like to face up to whatever they currently have. So you live a sedentary lifestyle, you eat whatever you want for comfort, you like just try to feel okay forever, and then you realize you really let yourself go.
yeah,
And then like all these other children that didn't choose to do that, that didn't have to do that, that like got to not so much got to, but chose to just like run around with their friends and like not spend as much time focusing on the negativity of life.
mhm,
They were able to like play tag and like run around the schoolyard all the time, and then I'd go and try to keep up with them, and then I would fail like miserably, right? And in that failure, it kind of built up like a wall against it.
yeah.
So like me not being able to do it made me not want to do it, which made me not able to do it, which
And
made
then
me not
it's like
want to do
a,
it.
yeah, it's like a
Yeah,
loop.
yeah. It's
Yeah,
a feedback loop.
it's a
It just
feedback
goes
loop.
on forever and ever and ever. And at a certain point, I was like, I don't know, like if me being strong came first, which no, I do know it didn't come first.
Yeah,
It was I was told I was strong because I was overweight. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like because I was heavy, I could put
You
more force
should
into
be,
things.
thus like you wanted to live up
Yeah,
to
yeah,
those
yeah.
words of like.
exactly, because I
You're so
never
heavy.
felt
You're so
strong.
big, bro. You have to be that. It's
Exactly.
like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah. Look, you're so strong, but no, I was really just pure fat, right?
yeah,
And then
yeah.
like I almost like wanted to create the illusion that the other person wasn't wrong because I felt so like it made me happy to hear that compliment.
Mhm.
So like
Yeah.
I like almost wanted to like make sure that
Make it
compliment was
right. Yeah,
real,
yeah.
so like they would realize I was actually weak on the inside.
Mhm.
Like
So,
that contributed a lot to my mental like ability
so
to
in
do
terms
something.
of
So
you, your fitness goals, what fitness means to you, where would you say like what does Phoenix Fit allow you to do? How does it allow you to like live your personalized version of fitness
you know,
through
at a certain
Phoenix?
point in my high school life, like around my senior year, I sat there and I questioned myself. I really sat there and I thought, hmm, what if one day I could wake up and all I had to do was get up and work out, and all I had to do was hang out with the kind of people that I would enjoy being with in the gym environment? Because those guys like felt more like family to me than like the people that I would sit next to in class, or like more like friends to me than the people I would walk around with at a certain point.
Mhm.
Because like that felt like a place where nobody would judge me for being who I wasn't. You know,
Yeah.
you go to the schoolyard, you go like anywhere else, everyone's judging you for not being like them. Everyone's like, you know, oh, you want to play with us? Well, you know, I don't want you on my team because you're slow and fat, and like, you know, you're gonna make us lose. You know, and that
True.
was the one place I could
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
train individualistically, right? And then like I wouldn't hold anybody else back. You
Mhm.
know,
Yeah.
so in a way, it was like my freedom to like express myself through like you know
Yeah.
almost a little bit of the aggression I built up inside,
Yeah.
like to be like very anti the person I was. So like it really just like gave me a place to be. You
Mhm.
know, it made me happy. You know,
I mean, the gym
so
space in and of itself, it's like a place where, uh, kind of like the intention, the motive to be there is to better yourself. So anyone who gets
exactly, yeah,
like clowned on for trying in a space of a bunch of triers, it's
yeah, yeah.
contradictory to
Doesn't
like the
make any
max.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, yeah,
So.
and then that one way I was also able to escape from all the voices that told me, "Hey, it doesn't matter how strong you are, you're fat," you know,
Yeah.
all of these things. Like I understand, obviously, I understand that I'm still like very overweight, and in a way, Phoenix is gonna help me deal with that as well,
Mhm.
because now that this has become like my like passion, it's my like next goal in life. You know, it's my next like movement forward in life.
Yeah.
I now have to give it all the attention I like gave everything else
Yeah.
previously.
Yeah.
So now I almost have to focus on my weaknesses in this,
Mhm.
and my weaknesses in this became like such a mental barrier that like I couldn't sit there and like combat all of these things alone. You know, I wouldn't have like taken the effort to go change who I was
Mhm.
based on my lifestyle if it hadn't held stake in my current life. You know, if it was
Definitely.
just a joke to me, it would never be more than a joke.
Yeah.
You know,
So as
so
like your what do you call it, your personalized sort like passion towards
mhm.
powerlifting, right? Your
Yeah.
interest towards it. How do you think that
Mhm.
plays a role into your current um, coaching situation?
Yeah, so essentially, when I started off, I like established myself as a title of like I want to be a powerlifter, right? I
Yeah.
want to compete on the world stage or whatever. Not really knowing what those words meant, it almost was like a sense of prestige to myself that like
Yeah.
you know I now have a goal in like something physical that I never had before, you know. And I really felt at home in the gym. So I was like, okay, well, time for me to specialize. You know, well, you
Yeah.
guys don't like nobody needs to do that. You know,
Yeah.
I just felt like I did because I wanted to have a sense of personality, a sense of like you know, like community around me. So I did like dive really deeply into the idea of like wanting to be a powerlifter.
Mhm.
That and because of that, like as I started off my fitness journey, I focused really heavily on like the form implications of my like training, right?
Yeah.
Like everybody has form breaks, right? Everybody has form breaks when they go heavy, when they do X, Y, Z, right? But I almost became obsessed with the idea of like, how can I fix my form a little bit more?
Mhm.
It almost took precedence over like pushing the weight.
Yeah.
Like I really want to push the weight, right?
Yeah.
But like I was weak. First of all, like I had an
Yeah.
obsession with pushing the weight and being really strong, right? So like I would like go do heavy singles all the
Yeah.
time, right?
Yeah.
But then at a certain point, I started recording back my singles, and I was like, I'm gonna get injured. Why is this hurt? Why is this so much worse than it should be? And then like as I kept recording my videos, I realized they didn't look good.
Mhm.
These like videos of me like training, they look like garbage.
Uh-huh.
So I would have to like rebuild my form over and over and over again, and I'd experience like every kind of problem under the book. That like like I'm so very lucky for this that I just escape injuries that would be like debilitating.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I mean, I started pushing like weight as much as I possibly could when I was young, and I ended up getting elbow tendonitis. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
minor injuries
Yeah.
just carried out over and over again, and it's like it almost presents an obstacle in your way, right? It was like my first time out of the comfort zone, so I had to find a way to deal with this problem. Like
Yeah.
you're a kid, you think you're strong, you push heavy weights, and then like you ignore like you're stretching, you ignore all of these other things. And what are these old people saying? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't need to worry about that.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
walk in
I'm
and hit
strong.
my
Yeah,
single,
exactly.
10 more
Like
pounds
you
from
might
yesterday
need to
today.
worry about that.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
you
but
might need to
we're
worry
built
about that.
different.
I'm
Yeah,
different.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you walk in and then like you throw around some weight and then you feel good and then like 2 months into doing that your arm starts hurting really bad and you're like, wow, I can't do this
Wow.
anymore.
Yeah,
And when you can't do this anymore, you're like, oh my god, I can't do this anymore.
yeah.
That's time to panic.
Yeah.
And you start panicking and
That's
you're like, oh no, how do I fix this problem? Now I can think about nothing but fixing this problem. And it almost creates like an obstacle in your way that you have to get around.
yeah.
So I feel like a lot of coaches that don't have like experience with these kind of problems can't help clients that have these kind of problems.
Yeah.
It's almost
What
like
is it
being
like?
stupid and
A
like
cumulative
a rash
experience.
child.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like a cumulative experience through like um
experience. Yeah, straight up. Like,
through like
yeah,
failures. It's like you run through every single wall like that you can't get through the first time. So you have to sit
yeah.
there and then figure out how to break it by piece.
Exactly. So you find like six different ways to climb every single wall, whereas like a different trainer that like kind of had it easier than you
Yeah,
would be able to like only give the one answer, and if it doesn't work right away, they're kind of like
which
be
is funny.
at their ends. You know what I mean?
Cause you end up getting that like experience for free where that one I'm sure you've like seen the that one coach, he's a personal trainer, super lean guy, like 230, 220, whatever, and then he like goes bulks to like 290 obese
Yeah,
or 300,
yeah, yeah,
and then he cuts back down in I think 6 months or whatever just to
Mhm.
show his
Yeah.
you know
Progress and how he
yeah,
feels in
kind
that
of like
space.
understand his like the headspace of his clients. He knows like what it feels like to be there rather than a fit guy in the room. So he kind
Hmm.
of on purpose did that.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Where you guys
For
got to like
sure.
that was your starting point. Didn't have a choice to
Yeah.
yeah
Yeah, I definitely didn't have a choice to like sit there and feel good about myself and my childhood. You know what I mean?
yeah
So it was more like, let me go, work on myself repeatedly, and then like whatever problem I face in the way, I'd have to like find a way to like manually fix it. You know what I mean?
yeah
I'd go. I remember one time, we were like you and I, we were training, we were doing bench, right?
yeah
And then we were doing singles like clowns in
yeah
around like the age of like 16, 17.
yeah
And then one of these times, like my arm really starts hurting, right? And then, like I can't do my bench like sets at all. So this is like when you went home, and then I was like, "Ow, this really hurts," and the pain is
yeah
carrying over to my like normal life. I
yeah
can't like not do bench ever again, you know?
yeah
How do I fix this? And like I didn't want to go talk to a doctor, but I was like, you know what? They're probably the person who knows more about the human body. You know, like I'd be kind of like overconfident. It'd be like stupid for me to not talk to a doctor.
yeah
So I remember going to like Meadowville area. I went to a doctor in that area, um, and I spoke to her, and she almost looked at me like I was stupid for like
uh-huh
having a problem in this.
damn
It was weird. It was like she almost looked down on me for being like a clown like gym guy, because like she almost like knows that we're gonna like people like me are gonna go get injured. Like a young dude starting off at the gym is going to get injured like
yeah
repeatedly. I felt like every single time I did talk to doctors after that, it like kind of bred the same story of like stop lifting or stop lifting the way you do.
yeah
Know what I mean? And for me, that was like unexcusable,
yeah
because like that became so much of my like safe haven from like everything else in life. And I was like, I like of anything at all that you could have told me, that was the absolute worst thing you could have told me to do.
mm.
Right? She's like, stop lifting so heavy, and I'm like, no.
This is like what identifies me as me. I can't not do
Yeah,
more. Yeah
exactly. I'm like, okay, well, I feel like, so I went and did more research on myself. I was like, okay, I think my arm is like inflamed. I think I might have like inflammation,
yeah
right? Like I think I might have tendonitis. Let me go talk to this person, right? Like, and I had all the symptoms of it, and then she's like, yeah, you have tendonitis, and I'm like, cool. And then I'm just like, what can I take? And she's like, I can give you anti-inflammatories, but like the better thing for you to do is just like never lift heavy again. I'm like,
damn
give me the anti-inflammatories, leave me alone. You know
yeah
what I mean? So I took them for a couple days, but like didn't obviously abuse them. Never even finished the bottle. You know what I mean?
yeah
Take them for a couple days, and then like I just start training again.
yeah
But every time I went heavy for a while, I was like, wow, that hurts. I was like, wow, this is a pretty stumping problem, but like I guess I'm just gonna have pain forever. Like what do I do about it? I'm just an idiot child,
yeah
So uh it didn't happen until like much later, where I like looked at the form of the people like stronger than me. You know what I mean? I looked up and I looked around in the gym when other people would usually just be focused on themselves. I like saw other people that could like press more than me, and I was like, what is the major difference between you and me?
Yeah.
Like first, okay, obviously my fat levels, right? Obviously I'm obese, and
Yeah.
that does contribute to inflammation a little bit, right? So
Yeah.
like, get into it, guys. Come
Yeah.
on, like that's coming from me. It's a little bit hypocritical, but obviously do so. Um, the other thing was these guys have massive arms.
Yeah.
Every single person that's like doing heavy bench work isn't relying on like wraps or anything. They
Yeah.
have huge arms. Like I see their forearms, and I look at mine, and I'm like,
Tiny wrists.
wow,
Yeah.
I got like pencil arms. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? What did I expect? So I start doing a lot more like close grip work. Like to work on my triceps. I start doing a lot more tricep work. Still don't do much bicep work, but I had to for a while. Like
Yeah.
my biceps are like small on purpose. Like I don't do them enough.
Yeah.
So it's not purpose, but like accident.
Yeah.
I just like don't do my biceps enough. But in general, like my arms were very small. So because of that problem, I was struggling in my bench, and I was like, okay, so how do I like stop my arm from hurting?
Yeah.
Start training a bunch of like forearms. I talked to some like real big powerlifters and like around me, some people that I looked up to. I was like, you know what? This is like my second house, so I might as well like treat these people like family. Let me go ask this guy.
Yeah.
You know, like, hey man, my arm hurts when I bench. What do I do? And this like big dude that's like squatting like 6 plates, like grunting. You can hear him on the other side of the gym. People
Yeah.
that you would normally not approach. He looks at me. He's like, okay, so a problem with you or like a lot of people is that the lower part of your forearm, because you have to grab things all the time, becomes strong, but the upper part of your forearm doesn't get that same kind of training. So you have to actually like take a dumbbell and then like move it
Yeah.
upward, and then like train the other part of your muscle. Like if there's too much of an imbalance, it pulls on your tendons wrong.
Yeah.
And I was like, that makes sense,
Yeah.
right? If one part of your muscles are too strong and they get tight, it's gonna yank on a lot of other things. And it's very, very important to understand that like body mechanics do work like that. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? A
Yeah.
lot of the time, if you're like, knee hurts, roll out your quad.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
look at whether your quad or your hamstring is like bigger,
Yeah.
and whichever one's bigger and stronger is gonna pull on your like knee differently. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If your hips are imbalanced because one side of your hip is stronger than the other, you're gonna lean to a certain way on your squat.
Yeah.
If your like internal and external mobility is like fried and like off balance, you're not going to be able to squat perfectly, and because of that, you're going to develop problems. And the reason I like even sat there and had these kind of like questions is because my squat form was so bad. I couldn't squat anything, and me being like a 240-pound person squatting a plate felt really gross to me. I was like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
You know? And like, yeah, so I had to find any and all reasons to like get any better at my sport, like get
Yeah.
any better at, because it was an obsession to me. I needed to be stronger because like I had something to prove, not only to myself but everybody around me, that I
Yeah.
wasn't just like a joke,
Yeah.
which is how I felt like I was.
Mhm.
So I would go in and then like I'd see my terrible form, and I realized like my core was completely off. It was so weak. And then like I couldn't squat properly, I couldn't deadlift properly, and it took a while for me to develop like basically I think my fitness journey was a lot slower on purpose because I
Yeah.
sat there and like had to
I
meticulously
mean,
understand
yeah.
every single problem it takes to like grow out of it. I didn't like get to skip any steps because
That
I was
like
already fit or like
yeah,
anything
that
like that.
that specific um line of events allows you to be where you are though, right? You took
Yeah.
your disadvantages and it allowed you to
Hmm.
just gain that much more experience as you work up and try to fix every single problem you started off with. How does it,
Yeah,
how
and
does
I
that yeah, go on?
yeah, and I do feel like it reflects a lot in my current coaching style
Yeah,
because
that's what
I've been
that's what
the
I was
guy
gonna
that
ask.
wanted to jump.
Yeah.
Like I really like I've been the guy that wants to jump weight like a lot.
Yeah.
But like a lot of the new clients I have, like they come in and like some of them are overweight, but like because they're big guys, they think that they should be able to do so much more.
Yeah.
Know what I mean? And because of that, they like lose balance on their lifts. And I'm like, here's the thing: you might be like a big bodied like guy, your legs might be really strong, but if your core is weak, you fall over.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, right? So I'm not gonna let you jump into like 2 plates on your
Yeah.
squat. It's gonna fold you upside down, and then like there goes your back. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because that's what I did.
Yeah.
I put the 2 plates on my back and folded myself until my
Yeah.
back hurt. You know what I mean?
Where do you
So
see what's a nice way to say it? Like where's the average understanding of body mechanics, importance of
I feel like
stretching,
the idea
balances.
of personal training attracts the kind of people that like feel like they're good at lifting. You know what I
Uh-huh.
mean? Like people that like have these like kind of or like are genetically or like lifestyle wise inclined to lift, right? Become more people that are ready to personally train because they're like, I look good, I feel good, lifting is easy for me, I'll be able to teach anybody.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's a lot of the time it's the exact opposite kind of like coaching you need. Because I've
Yeah.
spoken to people that like say, hey, I'm paying this much money, but my coach won't even ask me what's wrong with my like body when I like mess up my sets.
Yeah.
For like a lot of people, they think like, and for every coach, you can't just sit there and say like, this person is completely not like me. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
Like a lot of the time, your own experiences help you relate to the person in front of
Yeah.
you, right? So it's like when you sit there and look at them from your perspective, you're like, this guy's not like he's missing these lifts. Like these
Yeah.
this should work. He
Yeah.
should be able to walk in and just squat like instantly.
Yeah.
Because I was able to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
And then you have to sit there and like really slow yourself down after you get to a point where you're already teaching, and it really messes up your client. You know
Uh-huh.
what I mean? I feel like I was ground zero for all of these like questions for myself. I feel like experiment and play around with myself to the
Mhm.
point where like now I like guide people down a dedicated process, like that I like feel works. I like sit
Mhm.
there and nitpick at their form very heavily
Yeah.
before I let them move forward, and it
Yeah.
does show. Like
Yeah.
I've seen people that make a lot of progress that probably would have gotten themselves injured instead.
Uh-huh.
I hate to see the kind of person that I was get hurt the way I was. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I'd rather teach it to other people rather than like watch people get hurt, like I did.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I feel like there is a very big like gap in the personal training market, like where there's like a huge emphasis and like a huge what's it called, focus
Yeah.
on like things that aren't as important,
Uh-huh.
like diet fads and like spin classes. It's not bad. You know what I mean? It's amazing stuff. It's like you can come in and feel like part of your community, but like it doesn't really pander to the youth as well.
Yeah.
And the kind of things that do pander to the youth kind of like go and create this like very it's super easy. You know what I mean? Like it
Mhm.
should be easy. We're
I
elitist type
mean,
of
yeah,
lifestyle.
yeah, yeah.
Like something like Gymshark
Yeah.
does, right? Like
Yeah.
you sit there
Yeah.
and you look at their stuff and they're like, wow, these guys are cool. There's like a huge like problem with that as well, with like the very like big like fake natural like
Yeah. I mean, all
markets.
of like the
So it's like
fitness influencers. Yeah.
exactly. So like I remember even as a child, I like grew up thinking, hey, when am I going to grow into a man? You know what I mean? When am I going to grow into like the kind of man I see on TV?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's just not going to happen, right? And I hate to
Yeah.
say that to like all
Yeah.
the young guys out there, but like
Yeah.
you're never going to look like that guy just for free.
For free.
You're never
Yeah.
going to like grow hard enough to look like that guy, and there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with you if you don't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's just where you start,
Yeah.
right? Like you look at KJ Appa and like any of his like Riverdale stuff, you know what I mean? He's like what 15, 16. And you're not gonna look like him at 16 unless you're like a multi-dedicated athlete, like your like dad like coached you to like a new level, right? Unless
Yeah.
you're like a very very active guy, you would think that like, oh no, everybody in that show just like looks normal.
Hmm.
And it seems stupid to us now as adults, but when we were kids,
Well,
we didn't so much.
yeah. Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Definitely.
Like when you're a kid, like far deep enough into the kid like
Yeah.
lifestyle, you're almost like wishing you're gonna get superpowers when
Yeah.
you're like 10. You know what I
I
mean?
mean, yeah.
Like,
There's still people now who aren't informed about like the very common like steroid usage in the fitness industry, right?
of course, yeah,
There's
it's
people who
huge.
think,
People don't think
I
that The
mean,
Rock
up
is on
until even now, what was his name?
Liver King. Liver
Yeah,
King, yeah.
Liver King. Yeah, yeah, yeah. In what
Yeah,
world?
people,
How like can you even blame the people like who? It's like at a certain point you have to equally blame him as much as the people who aren't like, you know,
it's
informed.
on us as personal trainers and
Yeah,
like educators
exactly.
in the whole like fitness field, where it's just like, how can we leave everybody so woefully uninformed about what it takes to be like a fit
Yeah,
person that they would believe someone like Liver King
yeah.
exists?
Mind
It's
you, there's like so many people like he has and like collabed with who could have
mhm.
easily just like went ahead and just openly
Yeah.
like openly just say like yes, this guy is most definitely on steroids, but
And,
who
and a lot of
does?
people did try, right? But it's
But I
like
think
there's a
Joe Rogan
huge
was one
like,
of the people who only like said it,
yeah, I mean Joe Rogan definitely, did say like
right?
Joe Rogan is also like known to be a loudmouth guy, so people
Yeah,
don't take everything he
yeah,
says like to heart, which is it's a little bit of the credibility of Joe Rogan in itself. So it's kind of like a different point.
yeah,
But see, the thing is like it's the fact that there's a huge disconnect between the kind of people that are supposed to know better
yeah,
and the people that like look up to those who know better, right?
yeah,
There's like a huge disconnect because the schools aren't like teaching the way we're supposed to teach. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like there's no like people are almost that go to the gym are almost portrayed as like meatheads who want to take it easy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you go there because you're dumb and you can lift weights, but it takes a lot of intelligence to actually be able to like create this kind of build and like this.
Yeah,
It takes a lot
definitely.
of discipline to be this kind of
Yeah.
person. For sure. And because of that, like it's almost predatory.
Yeah.
It's like your
Yeah,
own
I
kid.
think
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
it's
Like
just like massive contrast between uh, like a person's like want to look a certain way
mhm.
versus their how much they actually know about like getting there. There's so many
Exactly
people who
right.
will see. It doesn't have to be crazy anabolic steroids where you're like layer wheels or these guys who are just like insane. But
Openly on
yeah, yeah.
stage. You know
But
what I
like
mean?
even
They're
the Hollywood
openly on.
actors, right?
Mhm.
Hollywood actors who just like are like in the middle ground, above average physiques. Even then, you have to like,
Chris Hemsworth.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, but who's gonna tell them, right? Who like
Yeah,
they
no,
can't like,
love this guy. Like this guy's cool. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like he looks really good. He's a very attractive individual, and like he looked amazing in Thor: Love and Thunder. But you got to really question the fact that he's like on the performance enhancing drugs, and even
yeah.
if he isn't,
It's not
the
like
kind
that
of
much,
things
right?
that
Yeah,
like
yeah,
are on his app and like on his like workout platforms aren't the kind of thing that are gonna get you to look like him.
yeah,
And it's the fact that like young kids don't know about the fitness industry as much as they know about these actors.
yeah,
So they'll like look up to the actors to look like the actors, and the actors won't give
yeah,
them the correct answer. You know what I mean? It's
yeah.
almost like we're choosing to ill-inform the people around us
I mean,
to
yeah, yeah,
like take
definitely.
advantage of them. It's
Yeah,
super predatory, right?
yeah,
It's like how would you feel if like your kids didn't know how to make money, so they fell for every single scam? You would feel
yeah,
like garbage, right?
yeah, yeah.
It's almost like a failure on the fitness community's like behalf as
As
educators
well.
and like people to, like sit at the top of their sport.
Yeah,
Like you won't see it in like most other sports. You won't see it in like soccer. You're not gonna get good at soccer by like like you will get good at soccer like by watching Messi play. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
Like you'll see him like do certain things. You'll like do the kind of drills that they do, but like the fitness community almost like wants to like make it difficult for people to like get good at it.
yeah, definitely.
It's working against its own people, and that's kind of bad. Like I want to work towards changing that for the
Uh huh.
future. So
Yeah.
one of my personal goals as well.
What about you personally? If you had a chance to go back and then
Mm-hmm.
give yourself who is starting out a couple tips, what would that look like?
Ooh, first things first, incorporate cardio. you know,
Yeah,
it's a
yeah,
very big like thing that I don't need to do cardio. I don't like doing cardio as much as I like lifting weights. Well,
yeah,
it's gonna help you lift weights so much better to have proper conditioning.
yeah,
So first things first, do cardio, play your damn sports. You know what I mean? Like I don't care if you're in ninth grade, eighth grade, seventh grade. Don't let go of the physical sport you're playing. I don't even care if it's tag. Go and play it
yeah,
every day.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Once you get into lifting weights, you'll realize how much that conditioning actually helps you.
yeah,
You don't realize how much that like, oh no, I'm tired actually makes it so that your core is stronger for when you get under heavy weight. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
So
definitely.
even for like powerlifters out there, do your stuff.
Yeah,
Second thing is just start recording your sets like really early.
yeah,
Watch like videos back. Watch other people's videos. Compare and contrast. You know what I mean? And then finally, just like don't kill yourself.
yeah.
Like try to understand like why you want to be here, what
Mhm.
it takes for you to be here, what makes you go, and like build slowly upward.
Yeah, definitely.
Take too many big jumps, you
Yeah, yeah,
lose.
definitely, definitely.
And as my final tip to myself, get educated as quickly as possible. Go get certified early. Go
Yeah,
like understand what it takes. It's not too much money. Like it's a grand. That's a lot of money for like a lot of people.
yeah.
But for other people, like
Who have the
even like
facilities,
a
Yeah,
basic like subscription to like learn more or whatever, like be a personal trainer or like get the proper like knowledge you need. Go to your like sources, go work in gyms, go talk to people, go get educated as quickly as possible,
yeah,
and then build from there. You're
yeah,
very young, and the knowledge is going to put you so much further ahead than the people
yeah.
around you. So many people have to depend on bro science because they can't
Definitely,
differentiate the
definitely.
right from wrong.
Yeah,
And bro science does have some of its like logic rooted in reasoning,
yeah,
but it's more important to find that reasoning than it is to just believe everything,
yeah.
because then you
I
get
mean,
stuck.
yeah.
Yeah, because then you
There's,
get stuck
yeah.
thinking you need protein powder like immediately after your workout, or you're fucked. sorry,
Yeah.
sorry, pardon my
No,
language,
that's
but
okay.
yeah.
Yeah. A majority of my lack of progress over the last 3 years, it's I've worked out for 4 years, but actually I spent the first three and a half learning what working out is.
Hmm.
That kind of like I think it's surprising like how many people have that exact same story. They
Yeah, of
spent
course.
like 1 to 2 years just learning figuring it out rather than like having a plan to begin with, and that can be like daunting for some people. But I think going
Yeah,
in well informed is
a game changer.
yeah,
It's
definitely.
huge.
It's like the difference between working hard, working smart. That'd be one of the
Yeah,
biggest things I would tell myself. I think
working hard versus working smart. Yeah, definitely. I
definitely.
mean, like, ideally, you're gonna work smart and then push hard in that, right?
Yeah,
But there's like an order to it. You know what
yeah.
I mean? Like,
So many.
you don't
Yeah,
just
definitely.
walk in there and just start running as hard as you possibly can. And then
Yeah.
if I switch 8 different machines in 8 seconds, that means I'm gonna get
Yeah.
the perfect body I want.
Yeah.
Oh, look at these like quick cardio cycles. These 30 second, like 30 minute arm workouts, a quick
Yeah.
run.
Yeah.
Let's go do
Also,
all of them.
the difference between like consistency versus like low frequent high peaks. There's so many
Hmm.
people who do the whole one rep thing or work too close to the
Yeah, they're like,
absolute limit. How many
mhm.
months have I wasted walking in and then like, you know, wow, I hit a 135 PR yesterday. Let's go for 130, 140, 145,
Yeah,
150.
exactly,
It
exactly.
doesn't
Yeah.
matter. I like go back and I'd sit there and just rep out like the 95s for
Hmm.
10 sets of 10, if
And
that
that's
like
like the opposite side of like of the phrase "push your limits." You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Like that phrase lives in every gym bro's mind, right?
yeah,
Every guy's mind. Then so you walk in, and you're like, "What's my absolute limit right now? I'm
yeah,
gonna push
yeah,
tomorrow."
yeah.
So that's not.
Every
Hold
yeah.
on, hold on. There's a procedure.
I
Like,
failed my 2 plates 3 days in a row. Today's the day.
I'm
It's
gonna push
something.
it. Today's gonna be the
Yeah,
limit breaker.
yeah.
That'll work for a little while, and then you'll hurt
Yeah,
yourself
yeah,
later.
definitely.
Mhm. Yeah, because pushing your limit doesn't always mean pushing your absolute peak weight limit, guys.
Yeah,
Don't do that. All right, on to a different topic now because we've had our
yeah.
background check on entire like idea of why I wanted to get into fitness and like what I believe about it. How do you feel about current sports versus esports and its like new prevalent nature in youth and the future of any kind of like sports entertainment?
Sports versus esports.
Like you have history with esports, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
you played Dota to like you know what? Introduce yourself and like how far you've gotten and like how you feel about it. Like go on.
yeah.
This is your time. Like,
I ended up I decided Dota was like a really nice game. I played a long time ago. I decided how much fun I had, and then looked at the pro scene more than the game in and of itself. I think the pro scene is what like pulled me in. Sat there, and then decided I gave myself a 2-year time limit of wanting to go pro.
hmm
So sat there, played the game, learned the game. Mind you, I ended up starting at like the bottom.
hmm
When I played the game the first time, it was like 5 years ago or whatever, 2015. Came
hmm
back, and then turns out I was just that much rusty. I was more rusty,
Yeah.
so I started off
hmm
at like the bottom. Gave it two
Yeah.
years, worked all yeah,
How
worked
did it feel to like be at the bottom, like looking all the way up? Because your like interest was in the pro scene, right?
yeah,
So you were
yeah. It was
obviously
still the
looking
game
at
that I
like
was yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I
like
remember
give us a couple names that you like looked up to at the time. You know what I mean? Like who did you think was like
the thing that actually brought me back was 2018, I think it was the OG TI where they won the game. OG winning TI 2018. I think it was Vancouver, Canada. So, um, yeah, No Till, Thompson, Seb, Jerax, on
And
all
if you
those
guys are
guys.
ever interested in if you guys are ever interested in any kind of esport or want to know a little bit more about the history of like esports, but specifically like are really interested in an underdog story, watch that
Yeah,
TI True site
that
for
was
2018. You know what I mean? Like it has some wild
yeah,
feelings in it. Even as somebody who has never gotten into esports personally, just like seeing these guys and their story made me want to be uber competitive in my own sport. Like,
yeah,
watch your back if you have like anything you care about in terms of competition. It'll be a pretty interesting climb.
yeah. That TI ended up changing my life's like trajectory entirely. Saw that and
hmm
I was just like moved. I was like, wow, I want to be there.
Yeah, can you explain to us like how old were you when you saw this?
18, right? Yeah, 18. After like 3 months before grade 12 ended, I think, somewhere there. So, a little
Okay,
bit,
yeah. So
yeah.
so like explain how you felt like walking into school with that on your mind. You know what I mean? Like
This
put
is
yourself in that
yeah.
position. Like
This is
paint the
this
picture
is
for us real quick.
this is the point in time where everyone's sitting here and deciding, what you need to go to. I got in for comp eng. That's the thing that I was gonna like default my life into. Always grew up loving math, physics,
hmm
all that stuff. But I realized there's a big difference between kind of idly going through life into something I'm already, you know, naturally inclined to be good at. I grew
Hmm.
up doing math, good at it. I can be good at it if I wanted to. But seeing that video and then like seeing Ti, seeing True Side, it like was crazy to believe that there's people out there living an actual real life this like anime competitive lifestyle. Like these
Yeah,
guys are athletes, doing it everything. And I was like, wow, we're gonna sit here and then I'm gonna be like, guys, what uni am I going into?
yeah.
The one
How did
that
that make
like
you
yeah,
feel? Like,
it,
it's
it
just.
felt I think the contrast between sitting there and then pushing yourself and then being at that stage, especially when they win it, until like that final like second where they have either won it all or lost it all,
Hmm.
that amount of um, inherent value to something. Uni was never gonna be that for me.
Hmm.
Uni could have never instilled me with that amount of value. I could have never seen an engineering degree hold that much value. Like they could have lost or they could have won. And
Hmm.
that year's TI held so much to them. And
Yeah,
having to
yeah, of
walk around
course.
school where we're kind of just doing what we were told to do. We're going
Hmm.
through school because, well, this is what everybody does. Well, I finished high school, I'm gonna go to uni. I kind of just like, I don't know, it snapped like that. And then suddenly I'm sitting here craving this like competitive
Yeah.
lifestyle. So that's when I ended up deciding. Yeah.
So it was almost like a little bit of the autonomy of the fact that they like got to push their absolute limit, and
Yeah,
like you know what,
definitely.
that's all they did. They
Yeah.
got out there and every single day they powered through. It's
Yeah.
almost very similar to like the way I like wanted to get into fitness myself, right?
Yeah.
I as somebody who feels weak, you want to like see how strong you can get, and you
Yeah.
can only get as strong as you can get by like hitting your absolute limit.
Yeah,
Especially
definitely.
like you're a big dude, you walk around, you can't really exert yourself on people. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
So you go and you exert it on the weights, and you realize where you are, and then you see the difference. And
Yeah.
like that's where like if you sit there and picture us, that was
Yeah,
like the
yeah. Yeah, yeah,
snapping point.
definitely, definitely.
You go and you like push a weight that you could never push before. You see these people destroy like almost like something that would feel unmovable to you,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then you sit there and you watch these guys that like go head to head at like such intense like battle,
Yeah.
like mental battle that they're fighting with themselves, with like the person in front of them,
Yeah. Who
psychologically,
yeah,
between each other, between the team, and then like actually with the avatars on the game as well.
definitely.
It's a huge, it's thrilling actually,
Yeah,
just like
that
yeah.
yeah, that opportunity to sit there and then like do it myself, make the
Mhm,
claim that I will do it myself, follow through, and then know that
mhm,
I've won.
mhm,
Yeah, that competitive feeling was nowhere. It was actually like almost like an epiphany, but like in a sense of like a feeling. I've never felt
mhm.
that ever in my life, ever before. Can get all the hundreds if I can want to, on my tests, school, whatever, blah blah blah.
Like
But
supposed
yeah,
competition and like
it was
schooling.
never that competitive feeling was never gonna come from anywhere else. So
Mhm.
that's when I took 2 years off, kept going, realized I got far, gave myself some more time, kept
How
going.
far did you get? Like, let's
Um,
give it a little bit more detail for us.
I after the 2 years, I ended up climbing to I don't know what the actual number is, but 3 years after 3 years, I ended up getting to top 2,000, top like 1.5 thousand of North America rank,
Mhm.
and then a bunch of other things happened in my
Out of
life.
how many players are there really in Dota right now? You know what I mean? Like,
Uh,
how impressive is that feat? Honestly,
I think it was. I don't know. I think it was like 1.6 in all of NA, or I can't. I don't know about concurrent players because concurrent players are way lower, but I think it was 1.6 in all of NA.
million, right?
Yeah, million.
Yeah, 1.6 million
Yeah,
players, and you were
countless.
among the
Yeah,
top 2,000.
yeah,
That's crazy. That's like taking like the population of like a small town, right? And
yeah,
then like you or like no, like a good like a big town, like a big like bustling city, and among that entire like city with everything in it, you are one school away from being number one.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like that.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
insane. Like there's probably a country out there with less population than 1 million. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
But like that's insane to me. It's crazy that like you get that far up there, and it's not like it's total players in the world. So it's not like these are people that like you're bound to that aren't interested in the game. These are all people that are very interested in playing this game from like across the world,
Yeah.
and in this specific region you reach top 2,000. It's
Yeah.
it's a pretty nice feat. But like, how does it feel from going to like where did you start and where did you
I
end
think
off, and like, how did the
it
feeling
was
change?
funny because as much as I wanted when I started to be the pro seed and go pro, I remember watching like TI and all this, and I like couldn't register what was going on. The pros would make this move, that move, this thing, that
Hmm.
thing, and I was like, why are they doing what they're doing? I actually don't understand. Is
It's
this
kind of
how?
crazy,
Yeah.
actually. It's like those old anime tropes where
Yeah.
it's like
Oh my.
Dragon Ball Z or
Yeah, yeah,
whatever. They're like
yeah. I
they're
can't.
flashing colors. They're
I
fighting
can't
so
follow them
hard.
anymore. They're going so
I got
fast.
what? Crazy.
Yeah.
And
And
it's yeah.
yeah, I'm very confident of where I am now in terms of skill, everything. It just so happens that life ended up going into different. My life trajectory changed again. Realized that this was gonna be Dota was gonna be too constraining for me, so I'm just
Mhm.
putting on this back burner for now.
Yeah.
Whenever I open up with more time, I'll hopefully be able to get back in there. But
Mhm.
yeah, so
I mean,
s-
like, what are your dreams for this brand and like branching off into like something like esports eventually?
yeah,
Because we do believe this is like a full like
yeah,
multi-sport
yeah,
brand eventually. It's just starting off with fitness because
yeah,
we have the
definitely.
most like hooks deep in fitness. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
It's like just the first step on our journey, right?
Hmm.
So, what are your eventual dreams? Like, what do you want to help people realize? What specifically, as you being the competitor that you are, what do you want to bring to the table to the world
I think
through
that
your vision?
I think just as like Phoenix allows you a
Mhm.
platform, to go through with your passion and everything. I think that's my number one thing of what I see Phoenix doing for like all these different sports. I want to give a platform, for any guy out there who like me who wanted to have that competitive outlook, follow
Mhm.
through with that competitive spirit. I want to give them a
Mhm.
platform where they can compete.
Yeah, yeah,
I want to facilitate
definitely,
that platform.
definitely. That sounds
Yeah.
amazing, right? Like,
Yeah.
how do you feel about the current like standing in esports in NA? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, yeah.
I mean,
How do
NA the
you?
most dead region ever. Like, there's nothing going on around here. I would,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah. I would have to, I would have to say like, that is one of the biggest reasons why I had to put Dota as currently in the background in the first place. There's nothing out here, and
Mhm.
I can't personally move to a different country
And
or anything like that. So,
as someone that will like build up the power to do so through this brand, what do you want to see? Here's this is where you get to throw your dart into the air. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, what do you want to see change for everybody? Do you like? I would say something like I want to build like an entire like brand of like trainers and like competitors that live under the fitness umbrella. What would you like to see? Would you like to see like a lot of like? Would you like to see schools take an interest in like
definitely,
raising
definitely,
their
definitely,
new like
definitely.
esports like captains? Like
Yeah,
the people that are gonna win the new TIs to
yeah,
see like
yeah,
how crazy the competition can get when there's
yeah,
actually focus in it in NA.
yeah,
Like, would you
yeah,
like to
yeah.
put NA back on the map? Would that be something you would
Exactly.
care about?
I think it's
Like,
already started, right? With America, I don't know what it was. I think it was Overwatch actually that started it. But there
Overwatch
were,
League,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Dead game now, but back when it
I
was
mean,
competitive,
Overwatch 2 is back, so
I don't think
could be
it's
lovely.
doing that hot, is it? I don't, I don't
I
think so.
wouldn't know.
I don't know the
I
numbers right
don't
now, but exactly, I don't play it, so dead game. But
know.
back when Overwatch, back when the Overwatch competitive scene, because that's what it was advertised as, right? Like the
Mhm.
competitive thing, the Overwatch
Yeah.
League. I think it was Overwatch that, like in America, they started giving out like esports scholarships where they
Hmm.
had like full unis and colleges.
Fortnite too.
Yeah, yeah. Fortnite's doing it now, I presume. But
I don't know. Fortnite was there were like big Fortnite tournaments, right? And like
yeah.
younger like people were like more motivated to go do that stuff.
Mhm.
So like there were pretty young people that like won millions of dollars off of Fortnite tournaments, and it like
Yeah,
really like shook the minds of the adults that were
yeah.
like
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
stopping them from playing these
Yeah,
games
yeah.
in the first
Definitely.
place. It was
Definitely.
kind of crazy to see.
Yeah.
Especially with like Ninja making $500,000 a month
A
from like
month?
streaming
Yeah, yeah,
Fortnite. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
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 Some crazy,
Yeah,
crazy numbers out there.
yeah. I think like it's surprising how much people know about gaming and esports as a whole versus how much value there really is to it. And I kind of want to make it. Hopefully, my vision is to make it mainstream. In the sense of like
Mhm.
like I said, facilitating that platform where it doesn't have to be this crazy. Well, they get to do it on the other side of the world, but us, here in Mississauga, I don't know. Too bad.
Yeah, right.
There's
Like
no, there's
you see the
nothing
South
here.
Koreans like
Yeah,
South Korea and
South
Japan have a
Korea. Yeah,
huge interest in
yeah,
like any kind of esports
yeah.
or like
Exactly.
online entertainment. And
Yeah.
then we come to NA and it's like, hey,
Nothing. It's
you guys want to watch hockey? And it's like hockey's sick, right? Like don't get me wrong,
yeah.
hockey's amazing, and like
But
we all
where's
love
like the
that stuff.
variety? You
Physical
know, like
sports are
where's
amazing,
yeah.
but like what about all the kids that want to like try to go through Dota and then they're gonna lose to like anybody else who had any resources whatsoever,
Yeah.
right? It's like there's like a new era of like new kind of sports out there, and
Uh
we've already shot ourselves in the foot. Like,
yeah.
because we're
Yeah.
not paying
Definitely.
attention to
Definitely.
trends, we're not paying attention to anything.
Definitely.
Because these things actually definitely like make a country standing higher. As weird as that is, and a cultural standing point, you see how big an effect like the World Cup had, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
On like
That
yeah,
was crazy. I think I think it's surprising actually. Who did you think soccer was as prevalent as it is now? Because like obviously these traditional sports they've been around forever, but I think there was a big gap between something like soccer versus like American football or basketball, right? Like,
I mean,
s-
I knew soccer was huge, right? I just didn't know it was
but
as big
like
as it was.
as big,
It was like what,
it like
1.5
yeah,
billion people came to watch.
dude,
That's
yeah. The World Cup
disgusting.
happens and then suddenly it's like traditional game of like however like decades centuries worth of history. Nah, dude, this is like the game everyone's playing now. Of
Mhm.
course, like I'm sure Qatar's like hosting of it had a big part to play as well. But I am very surprised at the traction the World Cup got.
Yeah, I mean, Qatar like hosted well, I guess. Like it was good that they did host it, and they created a big platform for it.
Yeah, yeah.
But holy crap,
I
soccer is
I didn't accept.
huge.
Yeah, yeah. But like,
1.5 billion people watching that sport.
yeah, I didn't
It's
expect
actually
those
crazy to
numbers.
understand. That creates like a different a different topic too when we think about like NA and its bubble. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about, right? Like
definitely,
there's a
definitely, definitely.
huge bubble in NA
Yeah,
about like we think some things are like really cool and other things deserve
yeah.
no respect. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
We live in the like we play American football.
America.
We
Yeah.
believe in hockey. We
Exactly.
believe in like baseball. Rah.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
you go anywhere else in the world, they're like, "What the hell is baseball? I play
Yeah,
cricket."
yeah,
And we're like,
yeah, yeah.
"What is
Those
cricket?"
those Indian cricket numbers are crazy in ourselves. Yeah, we don't even. Yeah, exactly. Think it's so strange actually. We very like you said the bubble. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Mhm.
We don't hit those numbers with those. What was it? I heard some statistic between like LeBron James and a yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Virat Kohli. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Crazy. Guys,
Crazy.
look at their follower numbers. It's
Yeah,
disgusting. Like LeBron James is huge, right? You wouldn't
yeah,
think there's another athlete out there with the name James has.
yeah, yeah.
And then you go and you see like outside countries, but like the shocking part of this isn't the fact that Virat Kohli has higher numbers. It's the fact that we didn't know he existed.
Exactly.
How did we not
As
know this man
brown people,
exists?
we didn't even like you're from Pakistan, I'm from India.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't even know.
And that
That's
like we're
yeah.
gonna get disgraced on like public platforms now. Thank you.
Yeah. But yeah, that's how like deep this bubble really goes. It's crazy how like we do what we do here and nothing of the outside is kind of like even known to us until like something like the World Cup happens and it's like wow. Like yes,
Like this
obviously
is
I
the
know
thing,
soccer's a big sport. Yes, I know it's lasted for however long it has. So
but it's
try to
not a competition
oh,
at all.
dude,
Soccer like
yeah.
floor.
That massive?
How?
What? No, I didn't expect. Yeah, yeah. Oh, I mean, actually, I went to Umrah before it happened, right?
Hmm.
Before the World Cup happened,
Yeah, yeah.
and I used Qatar Airlines, so I got all
Hmm.
the ads of everything.
Hmm.
Yeah, we're hosting World Cup today or this year. Wow, that's so cool. I'm like, yeah, I
Hmm.
guess that's cool, man. I used to play
Yeah, like I
soccer
guess
before,
that's cool.
Arab
Cool.
Mills
Yeah,
League.
soccer.
Yeah,
I
that's
heard about
cool.
it.
I'll maybe
Aaron Wilson.
yeah. Yeah. I know. I'm in that sport. I know. Actually,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's me.
That's as
That's me.
far as like we go with
Yeah.
that, and it's
And then it's
insane. It's
yeah. And
absolutely
then
insane.
wow. I just did not expect it. I don't know. It's baffling actually. It's
Very
crazy.
much. There was a study done where it's just like, well, think about it, guys. We're from NA. We'll think about it. What is the biggest game in terms of esports here, guys? What is the
Yeah.
biggest game? Yeah, everyone sits there and thinks League of Legends, right, or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
Turns out it's some battle royale you've never heard of, because like we live in a bubble.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
We
it's
live
the
in a
Asian,
very big
some
bubble,
like
and like
Chinese
yeah,
battle royale game,
yeah.
right?
some crazy stuff, and
Yeah.
that might be racist if you like don't know which one like and actually which Asian country it's from. But
Yeah.
like, forgive us for being uneducated on this. You
Yeah,
know what
yeah,
I mean?
definitely.
Well, again, we live in the bubble with you. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
exactly, exactly.
So yeah, it's insane. You'd sit there and like, what's the biggest MMORPG in the world? Oh, obviously World of Warcraft. No, not by a long shot.
Yeah.
You sit there and you think Genshin Impact is like a huge like step up from like the South Asian gaming market. Wow, they're finally stepping up their game. No, you just haven't seen any of their other games.
Yeah,
There's a
definitely.
whole other platform of JRPG games that you've never heard of.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, you
yeah,
sit there and you think RPG, oh, The Witcher.
yeah,
Like, I don't know, some other like game where you Skyrim. Like
yeah,
any of these like esport, like not esport, sorry, like just single player games that are like big names, right? Hey, we have yet to see another one, and then Final Fantasy is huge, right? Final Fantasy is a huge game. It's from the South Asian market, and there's so many others like it.
yeah,
Genshin took over North America,
yeah.
and Genshin Impact isn't from here. Think about how many other games lie beyond that veil that we've created
Yeah,
of
that is
like,
so crazy. Because you think this like narrative actually would be it's predominantly like America only, right? This whole
no, all North
we
America. It's
yeah, yeah,
crazy.
I know like it's America, but come on, we're basically the world, like that like kind of thinking.
Yeah.
But no,
hmm
it's actually all of NA. Like it's just the same up here in Canada as well.
hmm
We we live actually very much in a bubble. It's insane.
Yeah, very much so. It's
But
wild to
yeah,
me,
yeah.
honestly.
But yeah, my
Like, there's so many
personal
things in like
yeah,
Japan and China and South Korea that are like normal, and like all of these things that like are so
yeah,
progressive in
yeah,
terms of technology and like
definitely.
advancement and like entertainment and all of these things
Over here,
that
we're
we
just like
struggle to
afraid of
like
it
do.
almost actually.
Yeah, we're almost afraid of getting into it. Like, South
Yeah,
Korea will have
yeah,
like
yeah,
entire like schools that are dedicated to like gaming. It's crazy. You
yeah,
hear about these things like once in a while, but like that's just prevalent nature to
yeah,
them. You
exactly.
see Japanese arcades. And the thing is, Japan is like really leaking into America now.
Yeah,
With like all of its entertainment, like the anime industry.
yeah,
Like, yeah. And sometimes like people that like get into that stuff are like, they're the people that don't get into like the normal stuff for like sports here. So
yeah,
it creates almost the boogeyman. You know what I
yeah,
mean? It
yeah,
creates a
yeah. This
boogeyman of
like
anime.
yeah,
It's like, even as like a lot of the fitness community is
yeah.
into anime, and like all of these like normal people, like
Yeah, go
it's
back like five
normal
years,
people,
right?
right?
Go back 5 years. No one
Yeah,
would associate both of those things, physical activity,
yeah,
sports, blah blah blah, with anime.
yeah.
Who
And it's like
watches
it almost
cartoons?
creates a
And now
divide
it's like
between like,
now it's the opposite. Everyone loves anime. Everyone who works out loves
yeah,
basically everyone. They're like
yeah. But
yeah,
like, even then, we don't like scream it like these guys. Like, you
yeah.
sit there and you think Comic Con or like any of these other events, they're like really big events, right? And then you're like, yikes, it's kind
What do
of
we have
cringeworthy. It's
here?
Comic Con, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
I don't want to go to Comic Con. It's where all the
Yeah,
lame people go.
yeah,
But it's like, you have the same interests as these people. It's just these people like they should be an intermingling, bro.
yeah, yeah,
Like, the people that go to Comic Con and like these things, they should know that like we, as or like anybody else from the other sports side, other side of like the cool margin, also like these things,
yeah,
and like it should just be a hybrid, bro.
yeah,
Go to Comic Con. Go see what you like, and then go home and go work out, shower, clean up your room, stop acting like weirdos. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
Like, we create a boogeyman of like anyone who likes anime is weird, and it's like you're
yeah,
just feeding it more. Like, you're feeding
yeah.
the cycle of like, it's weird. It's like creating racism. It's so dumb. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like it really leaves us behind on the cultural spectrum from like other countries to us now. It's crazy.
yeah. Wait, in terms of personal, where I want to see, what I want to see Phoenix do with the other industries, yes, I do hope we can perform that kind of, or sorry, facilitate that kind of platform for people
hmm
who don't already have the opportunity to do all these cool things. Because you could never
hmm
know, like you could be like the guy at this sport, never try it out and never figure out that like you had that
hmm
much in, you had that much in you.
Yeah, yeah,
But it's a little bit crazy how
definitely,
society
definitely.
and like the general consensus can really shut down your potential.
hmm I feel like there's a lot to say about like esports and like mental growth for like students as well.
Yeah,
A lot of people like don't learn the same way that like everybody else does. They
yeah,
need a little bit of a competitive atmosphere to like
yeah,
get their brain working. Like, we'll sit there and feel so cool about chess and call everybody who like is really good at chess really smart, right? And we'll see somebody who's good at a video game and be like, okay, you play video games. It's like, you don't
like
understand how
nerd. Yeah, yeah.
difficult it
Move
is to
along.
be like,
Yeah,
yeah. You don't realize how difficult it is to be good at a MOBA. You don't realize what it takes to like understand proper pattern recognition, what it does for your brain's development to
Mm.
be good at these games, or like have the reaction time to respond, like
Yeah.
the mind muscle connection almost between
Yeah,
your fingers
it's
and your mind.
I
It's
think the biggest thing is just a social stigma around like it's not just gaming. I think every single like non-mainstream thing
Mhm.
has some level of like
Stigma
socialized
around
stigma
it,
around
of
it.
course. Yeah. Even fitness did, like even like lifting weights did for a while.
I mean, yeah,
Like
like the whole oh, you want to look a certain way? You're fat phobic.
yeah, you're fat
What does that
phobic, or like
mean?
yeah,
What does
yeah,
that
yeah.
even mean? I
And
want to
for
do
me,
me. Why does that have to do with like yeah.
yeah, what does that have to do with you? I believe I should be able to look a certain way. You're welcome to look however you want. I'm still
Yeah,
going to prefer people that are like me, and the
especially
people who are like me are going to prefer people who are like me. If you can find somebody who likes you for you,
then
sick,
that's
dude. I'm
sick,
not
dude.
gonna, I'm not gonna shut it down,
Yeah,
right?
the difference is like we don't tell you what to do. Why do you get the right to do it the other way around?
Yeah, and even if I might have certain opinions of like how people should look, or people should like try to like push themselves to like different heights or whatever, at the same time, you are also just as inclined to have your own opinions about that.
Yeah,
And my opinion has nothing to do with you because I'm not going to chase you down with it. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's weird, man. It's weird.
yeah.
Another thing is this the very weird social stigma that I didn't understand until like a while ago, that I didn't even have it. It's like the stupid meathead, like in
Yeah,
every like movie,
yeah,
the very big trope of like, oh, haha, I'm a musclehead and I do nothing but
yeah,
lift weights. You sit there and you realize how much math actually goes into like properly calculating your macros, what it
yeah.
takes to like
Macros matter.
understand proper like like proper exercise science
Yeah, definitely,
procedures.
definitely. There's
Like the mental aspect of any kind of sport, and it's like athletes are a lot more intelligent than you think they are.
yeah.
Like if you're sitting there being an elitist thinking, hey, that guy just throws ball
Is it
well and doesn't
elitist though?
deserve scholarship.
I don't think the specific word there elitist. I think it's more like anything that's not you. You suddenly just want to like paint it with um some flavor of like the obvious. You know,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
definitely.
here's a guy who works out. Well, since you've all down in this thing, I'm gonna assume that you can't do
You're
the
not
other.
good at anything else. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like it's not.
Very much.
It has nothing to say about you or how good you are at a certain thing. It's about how what like box you put
It's
the
like
other guy
limiting
in.
other people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Limitations on other people.
It's so
It's
strange.
so strange to me actually. Yeah,
But I
it's
think
like I see it even now on Reddit and like everything. It's like, well, I worked really hard for my grades, and this guy gets a scholarship because he throw ball well. And it's like, if that was so easy, go throw ball well. You
yeah,
know what I
yeah,
mean? Like,
yeah,
don't sit here and like down somebody else's like thing.
yeah,
And a lot of people who don't even understand money are like, why are athletes paid so much when teachers are paid so little? It's like, who's gonna pay the
yeah,
teacher? You.
yeah. Says the person who's like, you know, watching these sports,
So
inflating the viewer
exactly,
count.
so woefully like
Yeah,
ill understood of like, I'm so woefully like bad at understanding like where finances come from. Like for someone who thinks they're so smart, you'd at least understand where like revenue streams come from. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And for someone who thinks they're so inclined to the school system and other people don't deserve scholarships, they're not as great as you. It's like,
yeah,
come on, man. Like let's draw a line now, right?
yeah, yeah,
Come on.
definitely. Yeah, I think we are over an hour, so we'll just like have some final thoughts and round it up. But I think that kind of actually did spoil out like our problems with society's outlook, and I think that's a good place to
Our
go.
kind of mission
Yeah,
statement as
yeah,
well.
exactly, exactly.
It's
I
what we
think
want to do about it. It's
yeah,
not enough to just acknowledge a problem. It
very yeah.
requires you to want to step up and change. And that's
Even
what
you and
makes
I,
like
if we can
yeah,
solve it in our own personal life, I still wouldn't think that'd be enough to like.
of course, yeah. I
I
want to
think we have
solve
to
a
do it.
problem for like the current world.
Yeah, yeah,
I want to
exactly,
make a difference in this world. I want to make a
exactly.
difference in my city. I want to
Hmm.
make a difference in my country. I want to
Yep.
by the time like this brand is over and by the time I'm like I've passed away, I want a whole
Yeah.
different like outlook on the things that I cared about
Yeah, definitely,
and
definitely.
what I've left
I want to
behind.
be
You
able
know?
to like, give people the opportunities that I per se, didn't have. I want to
Mhm.
make
Of
sure,
course.
yeah.
Same kind of mindset that like a lot of people's like immigrant parents had when they came to this country,
Yeah,
right?
definitely, definitely.
Yeah, it's like you want to build a future, and then a lot of the time you lose that. You lose that feeling because you're so caught up in like the fact that money exists and all that. But we live in a time where like anything is
Yeah,
possible, guys.
definitely, definitely.
You can create a brand out of nothing. You can
Yeah,
like
you can
have
like sit at
something,
home
start
and just
something.
start like six businesses. Like if everything
Exactly.
is that easy, then I think it's like rightfully
Yeah.
our, place to attempt to
Yeah.
do, better by the people around us.
Exactly. And in a way, while this is our introduction, it's also a call to action, guys. Honestly, you got to understand that like we speak like this about ourselves and if you can relate to it at all, and if you want to see the changes that you want to see with us, stay tuned for us. You know what I mean? Like, show some support. Obviously, I'm
Yeah,
not asking like you to do anything
yeah,
right now. Just keep your eyes and ears open. There's going to be opportunities to like do more in the community like as time goes on, and like keep an eye out. Like honestly, it's going to be fun. It's going
yeah,
to be fun to like
yeah.
try and
Very
change,
excited.
and I would love to see a lot of like-minded people working
Yeah, yeah.
towards a
Very
cause.
excited. Very excited. All right. Thanks for coming on. That's the end of episode 1 of our podcast. Bye bye.